Elise AI has been around for a long time, and what Elise does is it uses AI as a kind of like and that Elise is ELISE. And as far as like an intelligent chatbot to talk with tenants through like all sorts of different things. So it's not like something you would force feed. It's not a question and answer bot where you would have to give it the answers. No, you just give Elise, like you upload your policy manuals and you upload all this stuff, and it has general knowledge about most things. And so for the tenants, you can add Elise AI to your website or your app or whatever, and then you can do the and then you can have them that Elise talk to your tenants like in the middle of the night or potential tenants or leads or whatever it might be. So they'll qualify leads, they'll like handle maintenance calls, it'll handle like all sorts of questions for you, and it's just a better way to kind of service your tenants when you don't have somebody available. So, and it'll kind of weed out like the first layer of stuff, and you can tell Elise whatever. So Elise is kind of the standard, or they've been deployed, they're probably deployed on hundreds of thousands of units across the US. They're kind of the OG in this space. So as far as tenant communications go, Elise was doing. And thanks, Deborah, for the compliment on the class. Yes, so for those of y'all that missed it, I had on Friday, had an AI for realtors class, which was around real estate transactions. So for those of y'all that missed the class, I'll put the link in the chat for you in a second when I get with it, and you can just register. It's on demand, so you can just view it anytime. It was about 45 minutes. We had 3 startups from the council go through their AI tools, talking about all sorts of things, and then I will also send you a guidebook on prompt engineering and how to do your own automations, which I haven't done yet, but I will, y'all, for those who attended. So anyway, thanks for the plug. So Elise AI was the original kind of OG in tenant communications, but there's a couple more. So I'll throw out a couple of them, then I'll ask the folks in the crowd what they're using. Trudy is another one, and Trudy does more task management. So it's TRUDI. It can also do communications with tenants, which is fine. But Trudy will kind of like work through your take information out of your email. It will do like all sorts of things around inspections, maintenance, not just from a communication standpoint, but then actually managing the task. Then like if it needs to go to and do some automations on, does this go to your maintenance manager, does this go to your property manager, what happens? So Trudy is another one that seems to be getting steam. They've been around for a little while, and they have. And then the other thing that you'll kind of see coming up, and this will be from different AI startups, will be agents. And one on the Friday webinar, one of the guys that we had was actually building AI agents, which would be not an app per se or a software that you would buy, but that you would have someone come in and build an agent tailored to your real estate company, your processes, everything that you do. So you don't have to change what you do on a day-to-day basis. If you like it, you built your systems, you built your processes, and that's how you roll, well, great. Then you just have someone come in and build agents to kind of automate those things, right? And use a large language model or a small language model or whatever you want to use to kind of get those things done. So there's 3 ways to kind of do this, but I'm going to kick it out to the crowd and see if anyone is using AI for property management. It came off mic.
No,
Deborah,
sorry.
Are you using anything?
Sorry.
That's okay. No worries. What about you, Chris? Are you using AI in project property management at all?
Not yet. We're trying to implement to see which is the best one, and then because we have so many different complexes, we want to just do one and then pull everybody in and train everybody once, as opposed to try to patch everything together. So we're investigating everything to see what really makes sense and what can tie into our present software, so that we pay for. So
Yeah, for sure. So no matter what property management system you're using, and I don't know which one it is, you don't have to say, they're probably all going to come out with some sort of, if they haven't already, some sort of AI co-pilot. If they don't, they're dead.
They're kind of janky now, like, you know, it's in the learning stages, so they're just trying to figure everything out on the fly. So I figure just everything we have right now is working pretty good. So why don't we just, you know, stay with what we have, and then once they figure it out, so we're not the guinea pig, because that's what I feel we are right now, you know, until they perfect the model a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think what I kind of envision happening at some point is that a lot of the property management systems, like the Yardi and all of those guys, it's going to get really super interesting. A lot of more of the customers are fighting for their data, fighting for the ability to integrate with other applications without having to pay anything for that. And they're fighting back on a lot of this horrible legacy architecture, computer architecture. I mean, not building architecture, that doesn't integrate well with AI at all. And so it's kind of an interesting time right now, especially. So, do you want to hop in, Chris?
Yeah, what I wonder to see is, you know, are they going to be able to talk to each other? That's the big thing, right? So if you use another third party that's a little better than, so let's say Yardi, for instance, right? So what, you know, okay, what is it that, you know, if we use something different, will Yardi allow it to talk, to integrate? Because that's what they're going to want to do. Is everybody wants you to pay and everything. We're happy to pay, but we just want to make sure that we're not paying for like 4 instead of 1 service, you know. So
so Rimmon is a founder of Propexo, which is PROPEXO. What they built, and don't tell Rimmon this, he's a really nice guy, and he might figure it out, but I think AI solves this problem. But what he did was he created an integration platform where you pay $800 a month, and you can, if you pay him $800 a month, you're instantly integratable with every property management system out there: Yardi, RealPage, Appfolio, whatever you got. So all the prop tech companies are now becoming clients of Rimmon's, and there's another one too called Lot Solutions, so now it all integrates, and that's where a lot of them are moving to. But I really truly think that AI solves the integration problem, because you would just create an application, like you would just take your data out of Yardi, put it into Databricks or some other, like Snowflake or some other data warehousing system, and then attach AI to that. So you have your Yardi, you have all your other, like if it's your leasing applications or if it's your building management systems or whatever, and you just pull it all into a data lake, and then AI interacts with that, and it can be unstructured, and it doesn't matter, and so the integrations will happen differently, and it won't be, and you don't even need an integration, you don't even need an API. You just run an automation that runs those reports or pulls that data down every week, every month, every day, every morning, whatever you want to do, and you just run a regular, just run reports out of it. The integration.
PER.xo.
Yeah, Propexo. No, so PRO PEXO is Propexo, and that's. They can probably tell you who's kind of integrated with them already, but that's really for on the software guys like us. On our side, we would be their customers, but they have all the integrations with pretty much everybody. So yeah, no, it's a good way to do it. But I think AI solves this problem. I think paying $75,000 Yardi to do an integration, those are days of the past. I mean, I think most people have kind of balked at those things, and They've been truly a stifling agent for innovation in the industry. And if I could talk to Mr. Yardy, I would go, dude, like, knock it off. But I don't have his phone number. Otherwise, I would tell him, knock it off, dude.
Hey, so, Amy, yes. Have you heard of SmartRent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know the founders of SmartRent, and then they IPO'd, and then they all took their money and ran. But now I know CJ and Mitch and all those guys over at SmartRent. Yeah, so SmartRent's a pretty cool product. All the original founders have left, so just so you know, when they IPO'd, the board, they're startup people, they're not corporation people. But SmartRent is a technology mostly for multifamily, and it does like access controls and leak detection, and it's all your like smart home kind of stuff. So when you go up to an apartment complex and you're using your phone to get into your door, or if you have the leak sensors that are tied, or you have the Nest thermostats, or any of that stuff, and you can control the AC from your phone, or you can all of that kind of stuff. All that, yeah, that's what those SmartRent does, and they were like the original kind of OG in the space. There was one other, but they didn't make it, and they fought through all of the stuff that happens on multifamily. And the biggest thing that suffers in multifamily, and this is really going to have to change, is the digital infrastructure. You cannot put smart things on a multifamily building if you do not have managed Wi-Fi. You can't do it. You can get the ones that have cell phone signal, but it's not integrated, and it's a pain in the ass, and it becomes a logistical nightmare for you if you're pinging like multiple different things. So you need a consolidated platform, and in order to do that, you need managed Wi-Fi. And so a lot of, and if you look at, I don't know, the inventory of the United States multifamily stock, I would venture to guess, and I don't know this number, and I'll probably have someone look it up, but I would venture to guess that 80% of them don't have managed Wi-Fi. I would guess. I don't know. What do you think, Chris? I mean, how many, or Maria, how many do you have managed Wi-Fi?
Put, like, repeaters and stuff like that. If you're buying, like, say, a 2018 or below, that probably doesn't have it. So it could be the value add. Like, it could be a value add that you could integrate into the business, and it also could be a strength to your business, because then you can sell, like, if you're buying, say, from Comcast, let's say, for $20, and then you're selling for 30 or whatever that number is. But then, like you said, there's infrastructure costs that you gotta constantly keep up, because you have to have those repeaters over the whole complex. So if it's not built in, then you got to build like little, basically, sheds for them. So because of rain, winter, snow, wind, and stuff like that. So because if you leave them to the elements, they break. So
yeah, for sure.
IC Real Time is a really good. If anybody does that, we did that on one of our complexes. IC Real Time, they're really good at that, and their products are really good. And then I know pretty good installers if anybody ever wants to do it. So and integrators that could do that.
What was that, Chris? Could you repeat that?
Sure. It's the company's called IC Real Time, and then they also sell the security system, so it's integrated together. So you can have on your phone, you can have an app that does the Wi-Fi, and then you can see the cameras wherever you put them. So
thank you. And I love the Airbnb. They really got into that, where the noise, or they could tell how many people were there. That was really a good idea.
We just stayed in an Airbnb in Charlottesville, Virginia. There was cameras everywhere. It was kind of weird after a while, but I mean, you get used to them. But I noticed them like right away.
Yeah. So the one of the other, besides Trudy and Elise and a couple of the other AI chatbots, I'll give you some more tools. So depending on your area, and you're going to have to comply with FAA rules, but drones can be used as security, and they're getting pretty sophisticated now. They can't right now. If they're going to go above 20 feet, this is usually the case most areas in the United States. If they're going to go above 20 feet, which they don't have to, they're going to have to be piloted. But you can have drones that go on regular schedules. They come in a box and they sit on your property and they deploy on regular schedules, and they'll fly up. And so instead of hiring a security guard, you can have these drones, and it has cameras on them. And they're getting so sophisticated now that it can recognize distress situations, like someone's fallen, somebody who's walking and has something pointed at them, and their hands are up in the air like they're being like held up. Depending on parking lots, like looking for, so it can, and it's not going to come up there and go stop or anything like that, but it can dispatch a call to 911. So some of these drones are getting super sophisticated, and a lot of them are in beta stage, but not all. You can look for something like this, but this is using AI in different ways, right? It's not using AI as software or as a way to communicate with folks like intended communications like Elise or Trudy or managed tasks. It's using computer vision and using the drone as that. I will say that other property management and other different types of real estate, not just multifamily. They also have these robot dogs doing the same thing. They're rovers, and they'll walk around a property, and they'll use the cameras and use computer vision and AI to assess threats. They can do the same thing you can use drones not just to assess threats for security. You can also use it for building inspections, and a lot of people are doing that. Like if you call up a roofer, any roofer, bet you money they're going to use a drone. They're not going to get up on your roof. They're not going to walk around on it. It's a liability. It's also a safety hazard. I mean, they're roofers. They should know how to be able to walk up on a roof, but why do it if you don't have to? You can go get a drone and fly a drone up, and the cameras are getting so good, it can detect where the leaks are. It can detect, and it's not just a human looking at it. There was originally the drones would fly up, and then the humans would look at the video, and they would try to determine what the problem was. Now you don't even need a human to look at it. You get the drone up in the air, they'll scan the roof, and voila, it'll pinpoint where the potential problems are. So drone technology and it's not really the drones are just flying, but the camera technology and the AI associated with it is getting really, really good. Really, really good. And I'll also say you can do more things with your cell phone now and AI technology than you have ever been able to do before. And that is, you could walk through a unit. So I remember back in the day when I was managing multifamily, and this is not that long ago. This was maybe like 6 years ago. And it was during COVID, and we were trying to figure out, okay, how do we lease these units? Because we had a bunch of construction workers coming in to work at the refineries, and we're like, but it's COVID, so we can't do this. So do we just leave the door open and trust them not to damage anything? Can we do this virtually in any sort of way? And a lot of this technology hadn't been developed yet. So we were and we didn't want to use Matterport because it's freaking expensive as hell. So we just took our cell phone and we just walked around. This is 2019, walked around the unit with our cell phone, and that was okay. It kind of gave people kind of perspective now. But that same process that you can do with your phone, you can show them measurements of the space. You can virtually stage it, or they can virtually stage it. Like if you gave them a video, they could download that video, and if you wanted to have this on your website where they could virtually stage that room or that apartment with furniture, they could do that. I mean, there's so many different applications now on leasing and using AI for leasing. It's like insane. And it's about getting the prospective tenant to be interactive on your site. And that way it draws engagement with the property, and it increases obviously the likelihood that they're going to rent or buy, one of the two. But those are some of the other ones. There's like tons of them. So anybody got any questions for me, Terrence? I see you come up. Did you want to hop in on a question? Terrence? All right. Must have lost him. Maria, what are you using today in your property management?
Oh, I'm using myself. I told you I'm small town, and my real estate office is right around the corner from my apartment building. And anyway, yeah, it's just me. But I am looking to, I'm trying to buy at least one more property, if not two, this year. And I know I'm going to have to, bump it up. So yeah, I'm listening. It's good timing for me on this room for sure.
Yeah. How are you doing your property selection? What tools are you using to find properties other than MLS?
That and just sphere of influence. I mean, I'm small town, and I know most of the people, here actually. So
yeah. So you just invest in your backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can ride my golf cart from my house over to one of my properties that I run as an Airbnb. You were talking about security, and I was like, my God, I'm my own security guard too, because I'll ride over, just past the Airbnb, and then I'll ride over to the apartment building. And anyway, yeah, it's very close. The only property that's not actually walking distance from my house or my office is I have a little residential property out in the county, but my son rents that, so I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for our little
okay, that's cool. Would you consider? I mean, if you're investing outside, I thought it.
Me or yeah.
Here?
We can't hear you, Amy.
Yeah, you're going in and out, Amy. Check your Wi-Fi, maybe.
Oh yeah,
There we go.
Need to stand next to a window. Yeah, apparently I need to stand next to a window. Sorry about that. Steven, did you have a question?
Well, yeah, I mean,
those repeaters in your house that I was talking about earlier.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been using my wife runs a management company, so I forget which companies, but a couple of the companies she's working with have basic AI built into the app. We're not really using the AI. We're just like hiring them, like not Virtually Incredible. Vendaroo does a lot of our maintenance.
Do you know which system you guys are using?
She was with Billium. I think she moved over to Yardi or another one recently for the so we're certainly open to ideas, because we're only about 100 units now, 7,500 units. But what's interesting is that Vendaroo, who does sort of our maintenance coordination thing, they have an AI built in, so when people call in with a problem, and I think it's a live person on Vendaroo's side who's using the AI, but they actually walk the tenant through some basic troubleshooting. So I'll be curious to know, as these other tools, I was writing some of the ones down. I would be curious to know sort of maybe if there's something more direct that can be folded in terms of they don't even need to go to Vendaroo first. They can just go to, our AI online and say, well, drippy faucet, is it supply or drain? Is it this? Is it that? Before it even gets to being a paid, a paid Vendaroo service call or a paid service call. But I thought it was neat how they were using the AI to guide probably just their standard virtual assistant call center people through helping a tenant. And we've avoided 5 or 6, midnight plumber calls because they walk the tenant through enough of a solution to at least get to morning.
Has any of your tenants pushed back and like, I don't want to deal with this, just send someone out, I'm not a plumber or anything like that? Or?
I mean, that has happened, but we're having an unusual. I mean, Scranton Wilkes-Barre is kind of a weird market where people are very kind of old school. It's like you're 30 years behind everywhere else, and also because a lot of our units, we're not big complexes out here. We're doubles and triples, and people think of them as their own house. So it's like, hey, if you can fix this now, or at least, hey, listen, worst case scenario, main water shutoff is in the basement. Go shut it off, and we'll see you in the morning. We haven't. I mean, it's possible we had 1 or 2 pushbacks, but for the most part, no. For the most part, people are cool with because they understand that the owners, even though they're managed by us, the owners and we're all just small operators. There isn't any major corporate, so the tenants are usually pretty okay, and they don't want a plumber at 3 a.m. either. So I haven't noticed a large volume of that, and that's where the flip side of it is. We've looked into putting the water sensors and noise sensors and yada 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 into the properties and trying to upgrade the sort of customer experience, but partially because the rents are not that large around here, but also just because it's such a dispersed area. It's a double here and a triple there.
Yeah,
it's very hard to implement any of those enterprise level systems. So
we didn't think it was worth it because it was so expensive to implement right from the get go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be interested to hear like what especially on the leak things. So what we did though do is we replaced 2 water mains, and that actually we were going from like, I don't know, let's say 15 to 17 leaks a month. We replaced 2 water mains on this one property that we had, and the leaks went down to like virtually nothing.
Yeah.
So, but that was a big ticket. They were $100,000 each, but they needed to be done, and we knew we were going to have to do them when we bought the property. But that solved a lot of problems. So.
Yeah, and for us, a lot of it's that, but also inside, getting rid of the cast iron, converting to PEX, which is a great time, by the way. If you only have 1 water meter coming in, we then sub plumb everything and subwire. Again, we're only doing triples, quads, and like 5 or 6 units, our biggest, I think. So we're not doing hundreds of units, but we're like, you know what? If we're going to that level of repiping, let's bring everything to the basement separately. So maybe we don't separate it today, but in the future we can separate it.
Here's the other thing too. If anybody is in the room that does a cast iron changeover, keep that cast iron and sell it through scrap metal. It's actually you'll get pretty good dollar on it. So don't give it to your plumber. So, or you can negotiate with the plumber if he takes it. Then their fee can be reduced a little bit because you can sell it for scrap pretty good. So.
And yeah, and I know we're getting off AI, but same thing with any copper or other metals. But as far as technology, the other thing that we've, and this isn't really AI, but one of the virtual lockbox companies and virtual digital deadbolt companies are now going to automatically rotating every time for showings, every time they send out a person, which I don't think is really an AI application. But if you are running a rather spread out operation, we're doing remote showings. We're not going there. It's here's your code, and as soon as you walk out the door, your code no longer works. So
I'd be interested to hear how people who do the electronic locks throughout their complexes, because we tried it on one and it was a failure. We took it out. It was more trouble than it was worth. I'm sure that, and this was 6 years ago, I'm sure things have progressed tremendously, but I'd like to hear how people are using those now as opposed to the standard lock and key.
I mean, and we'll get out Amy's way and let her go back to AI, but I'll text you separately. We've been digital deadbolt since about 2016. Now, old school, basic digital deadbolt, but I'll text you, and we love it. I'll never go back. I'll never go back to keys.
What are you using as your administration for it?
So we're just converting now over to administrated digital deadbolts. Like we've been going with literally the Home Depot ones or the T-hose. You walk up and you manually change the code in person. So we're just going now over, and I'll text my wife and see if she can tell me who we use for the administrated brand. We just started that like 2 weeks ago, but before that it was simply the old school, digital deadbolt. Walk up, punch the buttons, because again, none of our buildings are big enough to make Wi-Fi worth it. So it's like it's always been sort of a holdback. But we're now in the 2s and 3s and 4s we're putting in free Wi-Fi, and we're not going.
Yeah, even if it's you can upcharge it to your tenants and it pays for itself. I mean, that's generally what it does. It just enables so many things. But what you're gonna see is, because people are gonna adapt, put in managed Wi-Fi, and add these sensors, in order to implement some sort of AI solution, you're going to need to start capturing all of the data, the sensor data, and not let it just be, it's an alert that we get. Well, yeah, that's really cool. Who gives a crap, right?
Yeah.
You want to actually capture the data
as it's pinging, right? So if it's normal, whatever the data is. So instead of having a sensor just gives you alert when there's moisture, we want the actual, what is the moisture level? Is it 1%? Is it 2%? Is it 0? Is it 0.5? Whatever it is, so you track, you're actually using the sensors to track data, not just give you alerts. Because then once you have that, then you can start using some of that sensor data. And it's like on leaks, it's not that big of a deal, but there's pressure sensors on ACs. And so if you start tracking that data over time, what you can do is you can start predicting failures. And you can start predicting when you're going to have to do, maybe you need to change your preventative maintenance schedule because you can see the data that's coming in on the HVACs. And those are really, really expensive. And even on a single family house, those sensors aren't awful and they're worth it because you'll spend a couple $100 and then you'll be able to see this data over time, or just let the AI do it. And it'll kind of say, hey, you might want to go check this one,
Yeah.
So before even a tenant tells you there's a problem, you're going to know. Right.
And
so
that would be huge, especially like in the Houston properties for it.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
I think everybody knows this, but I'm just going to say it. So we change our filters in the summer, I think almost monthly. And then in the winter, like every 3 months, because then the HVACs perform way better. An older filter makes it strain really hard. So that'd be really good to have that data, like you were saying. That'd be really good. I wonder what AI application would that work with? Because that would be something that that'd pay for itself,
Yeah, so it would be, I don't know if anybody's looking. I mean, my company's kind of starting to do it, but we're not multifamily. But I'm sure there's someone build it. Just capture the data, and then just ask ChatGPT. Like, it's really, you just want to capture the data, right?
Sure.
But then also, I will say that for just not just like HVAC stuff, but then you could also have it for lots of different things. Like on the filters, there's actually a sensor now that tells you when they're dirty.
Yeah.
So you're not walking and checking inside of an apartment because you know when that filter's dirty.
That's on the newer units, but like some of the units are like,
they're older.
3 years or older,
Yeah,
so
but there's some retrofit sensors now too. So I'll send you a link to some of them.
Please send that out.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Real quick, is there an app that takes all the data from all the sensors and kind of because some of the sensors aren't always the same brand or whatever, and kind of puts it in one place so then you can have an intelligent regular AI take it from there?
No, not really. You kind of have to, depending on who the sensor data. So when you get a sensor, they're going to give you like, hey, this is where we're going to send the data to, whatever it looks like. That's one of my biggest beefs with all the IoT and sensors, and I regularly bitch about it to the industry, is that use the freaking same standard. Why on earth do I have to because I am a data integrator, and so with my software, I integrate with a lot of people, and we just have to, sorry, I'm starting my car, but we have to do this a lot, and it's a pain in the ass. But if you use whoever the integrator is, or whoever the sensor is, they'll tell you where they'll send the data, and then use it.
Okay, all right.
Put it on and mix. Yep. You can add it.
She probably went from her car to her.
Yeah, she hasn't switched over
I
yet.
did. I went from my car to there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you, Amy.
My bad.
It's okay.
Yeah. So all the data. I know all the data. You probably, I don't know where I dropped out, but all the data will probably go into an Excel file, and you can take it from there. Usually, that's what I've seen on some of them. They'll at least dump it there. So, all right.
Thank
What
you,
else?
Amy, for covering for Joe.
Yeah,
All right,
no
thank you,
worries.
yeah.
No worries. All right. Any other questions anybody else might have? And I tried to see. One more. Let's see. So we talked about computer vision. We talked about drones. We talked about the tenant communication tools. We talked about sensors and predictions with AI. I think the only other thing that you might want to look out for on AI itself around as far as property management goes is being understanding tenant behaviors. So when you can probably predict now, and some of the multifamily folks are really trying to do this with data, but you can predict tenant behaviors like when they're going to skip or what's the likelihood that they'll renew. And that's really good, useful data for you as you're trying to manage your properties and make the decisions around CapEx and CapEx spending. But what you want to do is so a couple of key data points that people look at, and some people don't care about it, but it's sitting inside your property management software, is you can attach an AI algorithm to start looking at when do my tenants pay? Like, when do they pay their rent, right? So if they normally pay like on the 7th, even though it's due on the 1st and it's going to be late on the 3rd, but whatever, they get their Social Security check on the 7th and they pay on the 7th, right? Okay, that's fine. So if they always pay on the 7th, right, and you're a jerk landlord and you never change their due date, whatever, okay, fine. But if they always pay on the 7th, and then for some reason on 1 month they pay on the 14th, and then they pay on the 20th, and then they pay on the 13th. Well, if you're not really paying attention to that, you won't see that might be a red flag, right? There's something going on. If they've gone from always paying you on the 7th, and this really becomes a problem when you have hundreds of units. Your AI can look for stuff like that for you. Look for erratic behaviors. If you can see that there's, someone just recently bought, and this would be very different if you were able to do this, but if you through your security cameras or whatever, notice that somebody recently bought furniture, if there was some way to manage, like, people are trying to figure this out, but if somebody recently bought furniture within the last 60 days of when their rental was coming due, they're probably not moving, right? So that's a key indicator on renewal. If you can track and look at, and a lot of people do these surveys, like these post maintenance surveys, and sometimes you get the data back and sometimes you don't, right? But of usually the data that you get back is usually the all negative stuff, but sometimes you'll get good stuff, sometimes you won't. But if you can see patterns in those customer surveys that you get back, was this done well? Was this not done well? Who's complaining or not complaining the most? You can just have AI kind of search for that stuff, right? And so then you can notice some of those tenant behaviors that way. Sometimes, depending upon the service that you're using on the tenant side for credit reporting, right? Some of the credit reporting things are getting really sophisticated now, that tenants are willing to give up a little bit more information because they are getting it reported to their credit. And so the little bit more information they're willing to give up is some of that purchase data. Sometimes it's, and I haven't seen somebody was trying to do this where they were monitoring bank statements for the tenants, and they were doing that for the tenants, but it was also a way to red flag if somebody was not going to be able to renew or it's going to have to skip. I haven't seen that start to do very well, so I won't. I'll see where that one goes. But you can look for different things, and I would say to venture to guess that if it's a data point that you're trying to see where, oh, this might make sense, maybe they're doing this, or if you're using occupancy sensors or any sort of camera systems in the common areas, and you can kind of predict like how many days, or if you're doing the access controls, you can predict how many days somebody's actually in their apartment. Right? There's so many data points that you have as if people are thinking. So I would encourage you to think outside the box and start using AI in really cool ways. But the only way to do that is to kind of pull all your data together in some sort of data lake. So those are my thoughts. Anybody else got any questions or any thoughts?
One question, actually.
Well, Amy, this was really great. Thank you so much. It opened my mind a lot. On investments. So I sold 2 of my investment properties not long ago. And so I have one in Turkey. And I am wondering, it really forget it. The math doesn't math. The numbers don't work. We're way overpriced. Salt Lake is evidently, Salt Lake City is like the 4th or 5th most expensive metro in the U.S. Did you know that? No, neither did I. Okay, but I had to double check it, and it's a fact. Okay, so in any event, I am looking to other markets to invest, and I have some money that I need to invest, and so I'm just happy that you're here doing this and sharing all your wealth of knowledge, Amy. Appreciate you. So I invited a bunch of my friends in. I'm not going to identify them, but maybe. So if a friend came to you and said, Amy, oh my gosh, I've heard about this AI, but I've never, what is it? Like, where do I begin? Like, how do I begin to start using AI? And then you would say?
I would say, I'm assuming most people are using ChatGPT, but if they're not, or some large language model, I would start there and start getting really good at using it in your everyday, everything that you do, right? And getting really good at training and pay the $20, y'all. Pay the $20 to ChatGPT. I know it's not a lot. It's less than a lunch in some metro areas. So pay the $20 a month, and start teaching your version or your paid version of ChatGPT. As long as you're not giving it secret proprietary data, have it learn what you like and what you don't like, because it will. It's gonna tailor itself and its responses to you. And you can teach it to do all sorts of different things. I've taught mine to do real estate underwriting. I've taught mine to check through certain things on my email. I've taught mine to, it learns mine's getting so good now that the prompt engineering really isn't, I don't have to do it as much. It's kind of learning what I'm asking it. Initially, you have to do really good, what we call prompt engineering, which is you have to give it as much detail as possible, say who you are. And so if you're using the free version, you're going to do this all the time. You're going to say, I am this person, and this is what I do, and I need you to write a response this way, right? So I would have everybody start there.
Can I recommend something real quick here before you? So if people have email that they're using for like you might have your own email, but they use Google as like a server. Like if you own your own domain, but like we use Google for our email. They have Gemini, and it comes with that. You're already paying for it, and it's smarter than ChatGPT because Google's been sucking our information since the start of the internet. So I found it's a lot better than ChatGPT, and it's languages that it's already taken in is just going to speed everything up, and you're probably already paying for it if you use like Google for your email.
Yeah, I like Gemini for some things too. I'm not using Google, so I don't But yeah, no, it's good. Claude is also great. I'm not just
Claude is really good for writing too. So
Yes.
you have to write,
Yes.
say, write specific things. I'm
Yeah.
a pretty good writer, but so that's it's really good for that.
And Grok, the Grok with the Q. There's also Grok with the K, which is Elon's version, and Jonathan Ross's version is Grok with a Q. And then there's Llama, which is Meta's, and then there's a lot of large language models out there. And so they all have different strengths.
For
And
math, I found Gemini to be a lot better than ChatGPT, and like you said, especially if you're teaching it underwriting and stuff like that, it was way more smoother. So
yeah.
I'm a novice, so
Yeah.
I'm not like you, so.
It's okay. I taught mine like 6 months ago, so Gemini really hadn't had. It was still figuring itself out. But that's a good point. They learn at different rates, and the language models are updating to new versions all the time. So you need to pay attention. That's a great point. You can even you just test them out and see which ones you like the most for different things. I use and I also would use Notebook LM. Like Notebook LM, I think that's a Google thing. It's great for summarizing things, especially you could download 50 episodes of YouTube shows and Notebook and just put the links in there and have it summarize it for you, and Notebook will go through all the videos and summarize them and spit it back out to you, like on the main topics, main themes, those kinds of things. You can use Notebook in that way too, which is really super useful. The one thing is, and this is very true, and I think Mark Cuban came out and said something. Our educational system is going to have to change. First of all, I just graduated with my master's degree. I was using a freaking LLM to get to graduate school. Come on, people. Everybody was. And so this whole thing around how we educate kids, I know this might cause heartburn for some people, but we're going to have to change the way we teach. We're going to have to learn and the way we learn, because kids are just going to be using it. And it's sad that they might not know. I mean, they're going to learn how to do math and they're going to learn how to do writing, but it's definitely going to change how people learn advanced subjects or anything like that. I think we're going to learn at a much faster rate, for sure. And then agonizing over how to deduce something from an algorithm and have I think it just changes everything. But I'm always a fan of progress, so this is progress. Now all the haters can stab me in the back now. All the haters can be like, no.
And talking about education, Amy, now it's back to the states. So I think he's right. Education is just going to go through the roof, and I hope it does.
Yep, for sure. Well, we're at the top of the hour. This has been a fun time. Thanks for putting up with me and my signal problems and all sorts of stuff. So we'll go around the room. I don't know, Cindy. Anything? Any party thoughts?
Oh, I think I already said mine. Thanks, Amy, and thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, and Deborah?
I think just use your imagination, and with AI, it's going to happen. So, use your imagination, and it'll happen. Thank you.
Yeah, Stephen?
Yeah, this has been great. And a couple finishing questions. I think everyone start jumping into AI. Also, for those of you who have an eye toward the environmental, realize that AI takes about 10 times as much energy and water as regular, search engines. So if you have something that can be done by a search engine, consider doing that. But I do have a question for Amy and Chris. Amy, or Chris, you mentioned a software, I just didn't catch it when you were talking about might be better for creating underwriting models and so forth. And Amy, what software, or both of you, I guess, what software do you recommend? I'm trying to have AI help me develop some tools, some Python tools and some research tools. And I'm just not sure ChatGPT is exactly the right tool for gee, what set of AIs should I use to help develop this? And maybe it is, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Chris was talking about Gemini, and Gemini works well. Like
Okay.
mathematical things, I would try Claude. I would try Claude and Grok with a Q.
Okay.
I've taught, and I will say the underwriting thing I taught ChatGPT was like my first pass. Like when you're looking at deals, you know how you have to do your like thumb, like is this a deal or not? That's what I taught it to do. It wasn't like real deep underwriting. It was just a way for me to weed through deals.
Okay.
Like, is this a deal? Do these comps make sense? Does this ARV make sense? And so it would, and then over time it learned me. And so it was knowing the stuff that I wanted to do. But you know, you can, it'll be, if you want to do a deep pro forma underwriting, so say like on a multifamily property or an office building or whatever it might be, you can still use AI to do some of that stuff, and it's gonna be an integration though with probably some sort of spreadsheet or whatever it might be. Yeah. But you can do some of that, and all it's gonna do is it's going to recognize what you're putting in, and it's going to pull comps for you or something that makes sense for you, and it's going to run numbers. So it's not really part of it. The only AI that's in there might be it's recognizing what you're writing down or what you're putting in, and it's pulling in the right information for you, so you don't have to go do it. But it's not technically an automation. But then there's some other things that are just plain old automations that you could do. So there's a difference. AI is sort of automation. AI is an automation, but you don't have to ask or tell it what to do. That's what AI is, and that's really an agent. But yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right, y'all. It's been fun. Have a good one. We'll see y'all. Be back at 9 a.m. Eastern, and then I will follow on the room at 10 o'clock. This has been fun. Thanks for coming, and we'll talk more technology next week. Have a good one, y'all.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Right.
I was going to take Panda for a walk, but
Bring the soap with you.
this happened.
Fish.
Yeah, lots of fish.
A lot of fish.
So I think I am going to take Wednesday and Thursday off to be at the Minnows games.
You don't have to.
I'll have to work Saturday and Sunday next week.
Well, you're not taking the whole day off, first of all.
Well, there really won't be, and yes, I will be, because Thursday's an all-day thing.
On Thursday's long, yeah.
And Wednesday, she's done at 1 p.m., but it's also going to be like the hottest day of the year. I'm thinking we just go to the fucking boat. Because next weekend's not going to be boat weather. It's going to feel like fall.
Oh.
And I'm loving that. But we're going to do a boat. Let's do it while it's hot.
I'm loving that I put the lid on the boat with all this rain.
And you guys are allowed to go to the boat without me, just so you know. And if I do work the weekend, I'm usually done around 3, 4 o'clock.
I'm trying to desperately catch up because I feel like I'm just not getting.
It's kind of how I feel. It's causing me anxiety at night again. But I'm going to go to the gym today.
But you'll have to take her there at 11. I'm not even sure she's awake.
She's awake. She's downstairs eating.
I'm hungry.
There's eggs.
Why did we get eggs?
I bought eggs yesterday while you were asleep.
Oh.
I also brought all the food in from the car, so there's bread in the cabinet again.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And I believe we have butter, so you can do it. And you can do eggs here. I go to the gym and start my workout now, but I'm worried about Bandit.
Go to the gym. If he stops raining, I'll take him around.
Even if you just let him out in the yard to pee. I'll take him around when I get back.
Not now, Mom.
Not now. All right. Okay. You do your podcast this morning?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good?
Oh, in fact, I forgot to stop the recording.
Oops.
So I recorded it because it was all AI for property management.
Oh.
So I can send you the link, which it wasn't as